Life after Laremy Tunsil looked like it was going to be pretty simple at the tackle spot for the Texans, but a couple of additions have complicated the situation. They might even add more in the NFL draft. Who's going to come out on top in the tackle entanglement that the Texans have right now? And could the two guys who are holdovers from last year in Titus Howard and Blake Fisher be the odd men out? It looked pretty simple when Laremy Tunsil got traded. The Texans looked like they were going to give Titus Howard an opportunity to be a tackle and Blake Fisher an opportunity to be a tackle. Fill in the guard spots with some draft picks, add some depth, maybe a veteran here or there to back those guys up. It looked like it was going to be a pretty simple move there. Hey, look, Titus Howard gets a crack at left tackle, or maybe Fisher does. The loser of the left tackle battle, well, they're the right tackle. Not so fast, my friends, as the Texans have gone about adding a couple of options to the tackle equation that changes really everything for the Houston Texans. Cam Robinson, the first big addition and a significant financial investment in the former Vikings and Jaguars left tackle, makes him the favorite for the left tackle spot. I'd be foolish to tell you today Cam Robinson's going to be the left tackle, but the big money gives him a nice lead over anybody that might be challenging him at left tackle. So he's clearly got a route to be on this roster. And then the small financial investment, but the familiarity with Trent Brown gives him an opportunity to not only be on the roster, but maybe even start for the Houston Texans. Now, Brown, he's got a long road to getting to start. He's got to beat out other guys. He's got to come back from a significant injury, a torn patellar tendon last year for the Cincinnati Bengals ended his season. We've talked about that injury here on the channel. It's a long road back. Typically, the guys aren't as good. That's why the investment is so minute in Brown compared to Robinson. But Brown has a lot of familiarity with this staff. Brown was the Patriots left tackle a few years ago. He was brought over, immediately moved from right tackle to left tackle, and the Patriots won the Super Bowl with Brown at left tackle. He's played a lot on the left side. He's played a lot on the right side. And really, his versatility and the investment that they made in him makes him the perfect backup, but it's not out of the question that Cole Popovich, the offensive coordinator Nick Caley's experiences with Brown from the past could be useful in having him earn a spot on this roster. And not only a spot, but a starting spot on this roster. 4 scenarios here when it includes Blake Fisher, Titus Howard, Trent Brown, Cam Robinson. 4 scenarios for you. Let's go through scenario number 1. Scenario number 1 is Titus Howard on the bench. That's simply Cam Robinson at left tackle and either Blake Fisher or Trent Brown at right tackle with the guards that the Texans added in the offseason or maybe will add in the draft at the guard spot. And that would mean Titus Howard, who has not really lived up to the big contract that he got to play right tackle and really hasn't played a lot of right tackle, is sitting on the bench. Now, is that a likely scenario? I wouldn't say that it's likely, but it's certainly a possible outcome, and it might be one of the most possible outcomes because I have a hard time seeing how Titus Howard is going to beat out Cam Robinson. Now, it's not impossible for Titus Howard to beat out Cam Robinson. I've believed for a long time Titus Howard should be a left tackle for the Houston Texans. In fact, since they drafted him, they should have just plopped him down there at the left tackle spot. But the Texans clearly believed that that wasn't the direction to go with the investment they made in Cam Robinson. So there's also a big investment in Blake Fisher. It's a second-round pick last year, and Fisher was okay at different times last year. There's definitely got to be some growth and how well he takes to a real NFL offseason to project him as the for sure starter at right tackle. But if it's Robinson and Fisher on the edges, that might leave Titus Howard on the bench. Is he going to beat out guys who've played guard their entire NFL career for a guard spot? That seems highly unlikely. So that's a scenario where Robinson's at left tackle, Fisher or Brown are at right tackle, and, well, Titus Howard is finding himself on the bench. Now, I talked about those guard spots. Scenario number 2 is Titus Howard, not the left tackle, not the right tackle, but snags one of those guard spots. Obviously, Howard has played guard in his career. It's primarily been left guard, but if you gave him the right charge, could he be ready to play, say, right guard when the season gets here, or be even more ready to play guard when the season gets here if you're the Texans and you gave him the marching orders for the offseason? Sure. I mean, it's not out of the question that Titus Howard could be the left guard for this team and that Laken Tomlinson, the veteran who's played a tremendous amount of football in the past few years, though with middling results at the NFL level, would be the backup for this team. Or if the Texans knew they were going to play Howard at guard, they could get him ready for the right guard spot, which, if they had to play a game tomorrow, would be occupied by Ed Ingram, the traded player that they added from the Minnesota Vikings, who was last year and got benched by the Vikings. So Tyus Howard at guard, not out of the question, not really what I'd want to see there from the Houston Texans, but if it's part of the best five guys out there, then by all means, put Titus Howard there at the guard spot. Now, scenario number 3 would be a little disappointing and maybe even rub me the wrong way. And that'd be if Blake Fisher found himself on the bench and was not the starting right tackle for the Houston Texans. Fisher was among some of the first tackles to be taken in that late second round, early third round tackle run, and Nick Caserio kind of started it when he made the selection of Blake Fisher, and a bunch of other tackles went behind him, and most of those guys didn't have as good a season as Blake Fisher. One of them had a little bit better season than Blake Fisher, but Caserio had kind of his choice of the tackles. He picked Blake Fisher, and if Fisher was on the bench, that would mean that in training camp, either Titus Howard or Trent Brown or maybe a rookie beat him out for his spot, or he wasn't healthy. Well, that would be disappointing because you spent a second-round pick on Blake Fisher last year, and the idea and the hope was a player like Fisher, who a lot of draft people thought maybe should have gone back to school, but could be ready in year 2 to take over a tackle spot with a real NFL offseason. That would mean that a lot of that projection just didn't come to fruition, and it would mean that the Texans have really a second round pick, still learning, still developing, still sitting on the bench, when that player, in all likelihood, should have been a guy that's helping you in 2024. Now, Fisher's not a guard. Nick Caserio made that very clear in his initial press conference after the drafting of Fisher. Now, perhaps that could change with the new offense and the new offensive line coach in Cole Popovich, but I would think that that's probably something Caserio is going to stick to. And so if Fisher can't play right tackle and he's not going to play left tackle because of Cam Robinson, that's booty on the bench, and that's not a good investment in the second round the Texans made in last year's draft. Now, the final scenario is one that is not out of the realm of possibility, though it feels a little unlikely, and that's Titus Howard and Blake Fisher both taking a seat and finding themselves on the bench in this upcoming start to the 2025 season. And again, we kind of went through the scenarios where Titus Howard's the odd man out and Fisher sort of plays a role in that. But for Howard and Fisher to both be the odd man out and to basically be your two backup tackle options, with Howard providing a little bit of a backup guard option, well, while it's not likely, it's certainly possible. Brown would need to be really, really good and recover really well from his significant knee injury. And Cam Robinson, well, he just have to kind of maintain the status quo. His financial investment would keep him at the left tackle spot if he just was okay. Somebody really have to beat him out to get Cam Robinson on the bench as a backup tackle for this team. And the guards, we know that Titus Howard's kind of a guard option, but in all likelihood, Laken Tomlinson and Ed Ingram, as well as any rookie guards that the Texans bring in, should have a good track in holding off Titus Howard when it comes to the guard spot. So that would be the ultimate odd men out scenario for the two players that were on the Texans last year in Blake Fisher and Titus Howard. And it'd be a fresh, new new starter, new face look for the Houston Texans offense if that was the case. Which scenario feels the most likely to you? I actually think number 1, where Titus Howard finds himself on the bench, is the most likely scenario, but you let me know in the comment section down below. What is your most likely scenario from the ones that we just laid out? Of course, membership's active on the channel. If you'd like to become a member, you're going to get early access to some videos, you get custom emojis as well in the live streams and the chats. I would like to caution you that if you don't become a member, your viewing experience does not change. It's just perks, bonuses that you get for becoming a member. It's a way to support the channel as well. And certainly we appreciate your support, whether it be a membership, super chats during the lives, a thumbs up, simply liking the video, sharing it with your friends. or just watching all the way here to the end. I certainly appreciate all of it. Don't miss SNL with myself and Landry Locker from the Locker Room each and every weekday at 4 p.m. The NFL owners' meetings are less than a week away as well. Oh, be in West Palm Beach. Get you ready for that. D'Amico Ryans and some members of the Texans organization will talk about some of these additions to the team as well. So again, your support makes trips like that possible, so I greatly appreciate it. Appreciate you watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I can't wait till we talk Texans again soon.